I am so done with you getting manipulated, bestie. And I say this because I have been there many times, specifically with narcissists. I was in a very long-term relationship with a narcissist. I was in a short-term relationship with a different type of narcissist. I have had to deal with a narcissistic parent, and I even had a narcissistic best friend at one point. And all of these experiences have been very close together. And I'm now happy to say that I have not had to deal with a narcissist in my life in coming up to 3 years now, because I finally learned about narcissism, how to spot the signs, how to avoid them, how to respond to them, and also how to heal from them. And we're gonna cover all of that in this video. This is a topic that I feel so passionate about. I have spoken about it on my TikTok a few times because we gotta keep the girlies informed, okay? Don't forget, I have a link in my description to pre-order my new book that is coming out this August, which is all about how to achieve radical self-love, along with my second YouTube channel, all of my socials, a new Facebook group community that you can join, so be sure to check it out. And before we get into it, this video has been brought to you by Skillshare. Skillshare is the largest online learning community for creatives with thousands of classes led by industry pros across fields like film, animation, design, productivity, freelance, and so much more. As you guys know, I've been taking Learning Pass the last few months, which are an amazing feature of Skillshare. These are basically hand-picked classes which are grouped together and are meant to be taken in order to help reinforce every single thing you learn one after the other. But recently, I've actually just started to take a regular class on Skillshare. You have so many options on what you can learn about, and right now I'm actually taking a class about how to journal effectively so that you can grow and heal. Journaling is so important. I speak about it all the time. Everybody else in the self-development community speaks about it all the time, but it can be difficult to wrap your head around. And how can we use journaling as a practice to ensure that we are growing and we are moving away from our pasts so that we can create the most ideal version of ourselves and our lives? Well, this journaling class has got you covered because it covers 5 different writing techniques, which helps you ensure that you are gaining growth and healing from your journaling. My personal favorite technique it covers is the unsent letters one. I've actually been doing this for years and nobody ever talks about it. So I'd actually highly recommend you guys take this class, especially if you're a beginner in journaling, because it tells you all of the basics and then a lot of advanced knowledge on how to get the most out of it as well. Plus, in chapter 3 of this video, we're going to be talking a lot about healing. So I think that coming back to this class once you've watched this video would actually be a great way to implement some of the advice that you've learned from this. And I've actually got a special offer for those of you who do want to check it out. The first 500 people to click the link in my description will get their first month of Skillshare completely free. Chapter number 1, the signs of narcissism, so you can become an expert at spotting one and avoiding one. Now, if you were to Google what is a narcissist, what is the behavior of a narcissist, it will tell you things like they're arrogant, they're cocky, they are self-centered, they have a lack of empathy, they're jealous, they have this need for admiration, they're very arrogant. These are such basic qualities which can literally be applied to anybody who's not a narcissist, okay? At this point, I have such personal beef with Google because when I was on this journey, I was out here trying to Google away all of my answers and I was given the most generic basic advice ever. Even when it came to having been in a relationship with a narcissist, and now I'm like, okay, I've got to heal because I don't even know who I am anymore and I had so much mental trauma which was holding me back. Google's like, do your self-care. Take a bubble bath. What even is that? Narcissism is so dangerous. It's a literal form of abuse and it's classed as a personality disorder. It goes so much further than someone just being rude and selfish and jealous. Now, there are actually 5 main types of narcissists. A lot of people don't know this. They normally associate it with the most common one who thinks very highly of themselves, put themselves before others, but there's actually a different type of narcissist called a covert narcissist. Now, the one that everybody thinks about, the most obvious form, and the one that you're also most likely to come into contact with is an overt narcissist, and the other is a covert narcissist. Now, I was in a long-term relationship with an overt one, someone who had all of the typical narcissist traits, and then I healed from that, or at least I thought I did. I learned all the signs around it, and then 2 years later, I was actually in a relationship with a covert narcissist, and I had no idea the entire time, even though I had read so many books and articles on narcissism. So I'm gonna break down both of these 2 types. Like I said, there are 5 types. The others are very, very niche. You're not as likely to run into those, so I'm gonna break down the 2 main today. And disclaimer, in this video, I'm gonna refer to the narcissist as a guy in a relationship and the victim as us, the girl. Women can absolutely be narcissists. I'm just using this as a personal example, okay? Type number 1, the overt narcissist. This is the most classic, traditional, and obvious form of narcissistic personality disorder. Although I say obvious, but they are also master manipulators and disguisers. But this is what you hear about a lot of the time. So they are very abusive, they are very controlling, they are very out there in how they will belittle you and shame you and then love bomb you the very next day. They are very ambitious. They're focused a lot on status, on wealth, on flattery, on admiration. All narcissists have a very, very deep-rooted insecurity, and a lot of them, but the overt narcissist is powered by their sense of entitlement and need for admiration to be able to cover up that insecurity. So they have a huge ego, they are constantly attention seeking, and they need to be put on the pedestal at all costs. If you've had an experience with a narcissist in the past who was overt, then you will look back and think, how did I not spot the signs? Because they were very openly rude, they judged others, they tried to put others down, they were very obvious in it. But the reason that you don't understand it in the moment is because they alternate all of that bad behavior with such large and grandiose gestures of romance that it completely distracts you and kind of allows you to justify those flaws in their character. Now we're going to talk about the covert narcissist. This is very rarely spoken about. They are most definitely the most dangerous form of narcissist just because they are much more subtle in their approach to manipulating you. There aren't as many articles written on them, so it's not very like widely known knowledge, and this is why I too fell for this. So a covert narcissist has all of the same foundations as your classic narcissist. They are extremely insecure, they have a need for control, they are very manipulative, they will try to reel you in through love bombing and telling you a sob story, but they have a much more subtle approach in trying to gain power, and this is what makes a lot of people fall for them, right? They just slip under the radar because their persona is, I'm just so nice and I'm so innocent, and they are big time a victim mentality person, and they really are super self-deprecating to distract you from their true intentions, which is to control you. So they are actually much more outward in their insecurities, and they will make fun of themselves, or they'll tell you a bunch of sob stories about how badly they were treated by their family or their friends, whereas an overt narcissist tries to give you this sense of how loved they are by everyone. The covert narcissist is much more likely to use humility and a victim mentality and a sob story to be able to hook you in that way and control you. The reason they do this is basically to make themselves appear like they're powerless, to make it seem like you're in the driver's seat and that you're here to save them and teach them and be there for them and love them. Whole time they know what they're doing, and they are reeling you in, and they are making it seem like you're on the pedestal and you're the nice, safe, secure one in the relationship, when really this is just their way of controlling you and getting you addicted to them so that you don't see all of the manipulation and abuse to come. Another distinct sign is your overt classical traditional narcissist. 3-4 months down the line, when all of the big romantic gestures are coming to a slow, they are so confident in insulting you, in telling you where you can and can't go, in screaming at you, swearing at you. Whereas a covert narcissist won't do this. They are very good at maintaining their shy guy victim mentality persona. So what they do is they are very, very passive aggressive, and their way of control and emotional abuse is to always make it out like you're the bad guy. They are much less likely to swear at you and to scream at you because they need to be able to stay as the good guy, but they will try to push your buttons so that you're the one who screams and you're the one who swears. This is actually a form of reactive abuse so that they have more hold over you, and they can say, you always bring up arguments, you always do this, you're always angry with me, when really they were causing it all along. Some other ways that they'll be passive aggressive to gain control over you and the relationship is, why don't you love me enough? Why don't you spend as much time with me? Why were you talking to that person and not me? Do you not care about me? I feel like I always put more effort in than you do. So I'll give you a super specific example from my experience with dating narcissists. When I broke up with the covert narcissist, he called me up like a day after, and he actually said that he was going to unalive himself because I broke up with him. And basically just speaking about how I ruined his life and how there was no point living without me. And that's what covert narcissists do. They are trying to make you feel bad for them to the point where you feel like you're supposed to stay with them and they don't know what they're gonna do without you. That's how they hook you in. Whereas your overt traditional narcissist, when I broke up with him, or when you're about to leave your overt narcissist, they are gonna blow up your phone. They are also gonna act like nothing happened. So they'll like show up to your door with a bunch of roses. Oh, but I love you, but it's fine. Like, but we're supposed to be together and you know that. Like I said before, your overt narcissist loves ambition and wealth and status, whereas your covert narcissist isn't as ambitious. In fact, they are much more prone to procrastination. They're not very good at showing up for others. They are super entitled, so they think they should deserve everything when they don't actually have the drive to be able to get there or work for it. And they are so sensitive to criticism. Okay, now that we know the overall signs, I'm gonna give you much more specific examples on how you can spot these narcissists, because I swear to God, you guys are about to be experts in this, okay, I promise. I'm gonna break down narcissist in the form of a relationship and what that looks like, then if you have a narcissist in your family or your parent more specifically, and what those signs look like, and then in friendship. So let's start with a romantic relationship. When you start dating a narcissist, 9 times out of 10, the first phase that begins is love bombing. This is when they shower you in affection. They're like, you are what I've been waiting for. They will definitely say I love you way too fast. So within the first few days or weeks of you guys even speaking, they'll talk a lot about I love you and you're my soulmate and I can't wait to marry you. And yeah, it's been 6 months and you're not even their girlfriend yet. They are gonna give you all this glitz and glamour and all of these words about how much they love you, and yet they never really take any real action to show you that commitment and loyalty. They give you so many flowers and gifts and dates and late night phone calls and cute good morning texts and these paragraphs to hook you in so that you are so blinded and so that you believe that they are your soulmate, because they are basically like replicating that movie love that you've grown up with, admiring, so that once they start showing their true colors, intentions, and abuse, you are still holding on to the dopamine spikes they created for you at the beginning of the relationship, because that's who you think they are, because they held that for a sustained period of time. If their love and affection is so excessive and so obsessive, run. And listen, somebody getting you flowers and asking you on a date and being kind to you is a given, okay? Absolutely. Like I always say, keep your standards high. So the way that you catch them out in this case is whenever you're dating someone, I want you to take a step back and actually think, how long has this person known me to be able to like me this much? Because if we've been speaking for 3 days and you're talking about I love you, I want to be in a relationship with you, that's a huge red flag. Wanting to meet your family, trying to place you in their life when they don't even know you yet, that's the biggest red flag. Because here's the thing, narcissists have no interest in actually loving you or getting to know you, which is why a lot of the time you will catch them out by them saying that they love you way too early on. They were never interested in getting to know who you really are and assessing whether you are a good fit for their lives. They are out here trying to find the perfect victim to sink their claws into so that they can gain all of the attention and affection they need. It doesn't matter who it is that they are with. Phase 2 of a narcissist in a romantic relationship is the sob story. Now, yes, this also does go for the overt narcissist as well as the covert narcissist. In the beginning, you will find that they are super vulnerable all of a sudden, and they will tell you all of the bad things that have happened to them, all of their traumatic events, their horrible childhood, how their ex betrayed them, all of their betrayals in friendships, and they will quite literally get on your shoulder and cry about it, even though you guys have just met. They do this to flip the script, to make themselves appear super innocent so that once again you feel like you have the power in the relationship, and they want to create this sense where like you want to save them. Phase number 3 is where you start to see their ginormous ego, and this is much more apparent with the overt narcissist. The overt narcissist very much believes that they are better than everyone else, and they are not afraid to say it. However, they will maintain a nice guy image to everybody around them. That's very important for them to be admired and liked by other people, because deep down they're so insecure. But once you guys get on a level and you've been dating for a while, they will start to confide in you about their judgments of others, how they put other people down, how they see themselves as above most other people. They are probably most definitely secretly homophobic, fatphobic, or racist. Whereas your covert narcissist won't do this. They show their huge inflated ego by their inability to take criticism. If somebody rejects them, whether it's a job, a friend, a person, a date, they will act out and they will throw a tantrum as if they are a child because of their inflated ego. The 4th phase of being in a relationship with a narcissist is control, and this is super clear with overt narcissists. So the reason that they love bomb in the first place is to get you addicted, is to get you to fall in love with them, so that when they finally want to do things like tell you what you can and can't wear, where you can and can't go, who you should and shouldn't be friends with, it's harder for you to leave. And they will wait a few months before they start say these things to you, or as soon as they feel like, yeah, I can say this and she's so addicted to me and all of the treatment I give her that she's just gonna accept it, basically. Once this control seeps in, a lot of the arguments do as well, and you'll find yourself crying to sleep, arguing over little things, and then them going back to their love bombing the next day to make sure that you stay in the relationship. The reason they do this is basically to play with your hormones. They are giving you these constant dopamine spikes right after a super low day and a super bad abusive day. And this is to play with your feelings, keep you in a constant high and low state, which basically gets you addicted to them because of the constant spikes in your emotional levels. That is what contributes to a trauma bond, which then makes it 10 times harder to leave. Now with covert narcissists, they use control in a slightly different way. So they are not gonna outwardly say you can't do this, you can't do that. So they use passive aggressive tactics and guilt and shame to be able to control you. They'll try and make you feel guilty for something or shame you for making them feel bad to try and make sure you don't do something again because it just hurt them so bad. And why don't you care about me? Sign number 5 is they have to be above you at all costs, especially an overt narcissist. They are so addicted to wealth and status and appearances. They would never want you on equal footing to them or above them. Because they're so insecure, they have to be better than everybody else, and they are going to try and keep you in a little small box because of that. So if you start excelling in your career or at school or even making new friends, they are going to try and find something to critique about that so that they can take it away from you and make you feel less confident in a certain area, so that you don't develop independence and confidence, because once you do that, you then gain enough self-awareness and knowledge to be able to leave them and know that you can finally do better. But another sign of them trying to be above you is that they will constantly remind you of how many people like them, how many people flirted with them, a lot of like their ex relationships and how great they were. They will compare you to other people, and they will also try to instill insecurities in you. They need to keep you jealous and insecure so that they create this feeling where you know, I have all of the options and you are so lucky to be with me. Sign 6 is they must know everything about you, and this will particularly shine through in the beginning of your relationship. Now, whenever you're with someone, of course, over time, you're going to start to learn every insignificant detail of that person, and you should. That's what falling in love is all about. But if you guys have just met and they're asking about your body count, please run. That's never an okay question to ask, like ever, unless it's a mutual decision that you guys want to know that about each other. If they need to know every detail of every past person you've been with, how much stuff you've done, all of your past secrets, it's not okay. The reason that they need to know so much about your past and so soon is so that they can guilt trip you and shame you to once again lower your self-esteem and gain control over you, and also try to show you, well, I don't like that, or this shouldn't be that, or well, I would never date somebody who did this and that, to once again control you and try to make you follow a very narrow path that aligns with their values. The next sign is separations. A narcissist always wants to be the center of your universe. So this comes much later on in the relationship, but even at the beginning, they're going to start giving you little hints. I don't think that friend is good for you. You're so much better than them. I'm only looking out for you. I don't think that guy has your best interest at heart. I don't think you should be friendly with him. Well, you know, I'm there for you. Your family isn't. Why would you tell them? Don't do that. They don't have your best interest. They're not going to tell you the truth. Sir, I have known you for about 5 minutes and you were trying to separate me from my family and friends I've known my entire life? Yeah, that's right. The narcissist will do that. They have no shame about it. To basically get you away from them so you don't have a support network, so then you won't tell other people the bad stuff that's been happening to you, and also so they become the only person in your life that you can lean on, depend on, and trust. Sign 8 is constant arguments. Like I said before, they are going to alternate this with huge gestures of romance to keep those highs and lows going so that you always remain confused and addicted to them. Basically, they can treat you as shitty as they want. They're going to make you cry yourself to sleep. They're going to threaten you. They're going to belittle you. They're going to make you feel horrendous about yourself, and you're going to speak up about it. And then the next day, everything's fine. But I love you so much and you're so gorgeous and all of this stuff. I'm going to send you flowers. Oh my God, let's go on a date. This is so addictive because what it does is every single time they knock you down, you know what's happening to you is bad and you know what's happening to you is toxic and unhealthy. But they have programmed and conditioned you in a way where you know with every bad thing that happens, a good thing is about to follow, because that's what they've been doing to your entire relationship. So, you know, I'm crying myself to sleep today, but they might just, you know, they're going to be back to normal tomorrow. They're going to compliment me. They're going to give me flowers. They're going to spoil me. And that's what they've done. So every time they hurt you, your brain's reaction is, okay, a dopamine spike is coming now. And that is what makes your brain and your body and your heart want to stay and endure it, because you know you're about to be rewarded for enduring this hurt and this suffering. The 9th sign of a narcissist in a romantic relationship is gaslighting. Obviously, if you don't know what gaslighting is, it's when somebody will manipulate the truth and make it out like you're crazy when you're telling them things that 100% happened. And they will tell you that you're crazy, that never happened, I don't know what you're talking about, why are you lying? And they'll say it over and over and over again, even though deep down they know it's true, until you actually start to question whether you got those events right, because they double down on the fact that you have no idea what you're talking about. They will never validate your feelings. They will call you sensitive. They will accuse you of trying to start arguments. Final sign of a narcissist in a romantic relationship is future faking. This is so apparent at the beginning, but it goes on all throughout the relationship. Talks about marriage really soon. You're my soulmate. We're gonna buy a house. I'm gonna do this for you. I'm gonna build you a walk-in wardrobe. I'm gonna meet your family. We're gonna go on all these holidays. From the moment you meet, they start to illustrate this idea of this wonderful fairy tale romance and long-lasting, lifelong soulmate future in your head of what it's gonna be like when you guys are together, and yet they're gonna drop you at any second without any feeling. Why? Because they're void of feeling and any empathy, because they are quite literally narcissists. So they're gonna tell you, you're my soulmate and I love you. As soon as they're done with you, as soon as they're bored with you, you're gone. You're gone. And you're gonna be so broken because you thought, well, that future, and you promised me this, and you promised you'd never hurt me, and you did, and you told me we'd be together forever. They were lying. They didn't mean any of that, but they knew that that was gonna reel you in and get you addicted, which is why they said it. And they will have no problem with just coming back whenever they feel like it, because at the end of the day, relationships only mean attention and affection to them. And if they find somebody else to get that from temporarily, they'll go there. As we go through parent and friend, just remember that all of the signs we've spoken about so far is also applicable to these. So for these, I'm just gonna go through some more niche signs that they will do that you might not see in a romantic relationship. 1, your parent will not react when you cry. This is an actual form of emotional abuse. Why are you crying? Why are you overreacting? Get your emotions on hold. The fact that your parent doesn't feel empathy for you when you're crying your eyes out because they hurt you is something to be scared of. 2, they give you the silent treatment. Once again, this is a literal form of abuse. All healthy relationships, the bare minimum standard is communication, especially of a parent and their literal child, no matter how old you are. Normal people communicate and talk out their problems so that they can find a solution, not cut you out and punish you for trying to communicate in the first place. 3, loads of projection. In fact, your parent or your family member in the situation will probably call you the narcissist, or other people in the family the narcissist, when they are. They project all sorts of stuff. You know, they'll say you're clumsy and you're disorganized and you're stupid because they actually feel that way about themselves. And this is much more apparent in parent-child relationships because you are a direct trigger to all of their insecurities and their trauma. The only reason a narcissist has a child in the first place is to serve their own ego and their own needs, not to nurture the child and allow them to grow into their own individuality. So they see you as an extension of them, and if they see you being able to do things they always wanted to do but they weren't able to do, they're going to feel jealous because of it. They're going to try and sabotage you a lot of the time. If you do things that are similar to what they do or they did as a child, it's a direct trigger. You're basically showing them all the insecurities and the weaknesses that they feel they have in themselves, and they start to hate you for it because they hate themselves for it. So they're definitely going to have a very little sense of empathy and grace and forgiveness with you. And also what links with this is obviously they see you as an extension of themselves. So they're gonna say a lot of things like, oh, well, when I was your age, I was doing this, or well, I would be doing this. It's always about them, and what they need you to do. Never what you wanna do to be able to follow your life path that you are entitled to as your own person. 5, a narcissistic parent likes to see you struggle because it gives them back their power. It means that you stay dependent and reliant on them so that they have majority of the control over the relationship and you don't gain independence and confidence to be able to live your life and see them for who they really are. 6, you've probably spent your entire life having to earn their love. Everything in this relationship is transactional. You have to act in the way they want you to act. You have to do all of your chores just to be worthy of a response, some sort of affection, some sort of kindness. Otherwise, you are completely avoided. They are ashamed of you, they are disappointed, and they are downright mean and disrespectful to you. And here's the thing, you are going to be so used to this because this is what you've grown up with, but the thing is, parental love is supposed to be unconditional. Always. A child should never have to do a chore or a task or get a grade to be worthy of love and affection from their parent, but a narcissistic parent doesn't work in this way. So you think you have to earn love when really in normal, healthy parental-child relationships, the child just has to exist to receive so much love and affection. That's it. 7, they've probably been emotionally unavailable your entire life. 8, once again, like a normal narcissist, they will never apologize. They will try to brush it under the carpet. They'll do something like, oh, well, I made you dinner. Let's just brush it under the rug. They'll never take accountability. I'm sorry you feel that way. Well, I only acted like that because you pushed me to do so. Maybe if you didn't act like that, then I wouldn't say that. Even after you've set a boundary, like, please don't swear at me. Please don't give me the silent treatment. Can we communicate with adults next time we have a problem? They are never going to respect that. They are never going to take accountability for their mistakes. Parents as well love to use reactive abuse. So they will push your buttons. They will cross your boundaries until you overreact and you finally scream or shout or act out. So then they have enough ammunition to tell the rest of the family how much of a bad kid you are. Once again, this is an example of reactive abuse, so that everybody comes on their side and they think you are the bad person. This links into the next sign, which is that they are always trying to humiliate you, whether it be to their friends, to your friends, and to all of your other family members. In like group settings, they'll start to make sly comments about you, backhanded compliments, share mistakes you made, private things you've confided in them with, just constantly telling other people super bad things about you to make sure everyone's on their side. Next, I just want to say, a small misunderstanding with someone tells you everything you need to know about how a person feels about you, especially in a family situation. You're telling me you forgot to get something from the grocery store, or you stacked a dish wrong in the dishwasher and now they're screaming at you, telling you how ungrateful you are, telling you how much of a bad person you are, telling you how much they're annoyed by your presence, how stupid you are, how you always get everything wrong through that one little thing. Tells you everything. Normal parents don't do that. Another sign, just like your classic overt narcissist, they will gaslight you, so they'll never take accountability. They will blatantly try to act like they never said something even though they very clearly did. They will also try to control you and restrict your independence, because the longer that you are dependent on them and the less knowledge you have about the world, therefore having to keep contacting them, the easier their life becomes, because they gain more control and access to you without having to do anything to earn it. Also, similarly to the overt narcissist, they will pick really small things and make them into huge fights to reinforce this idea that you are a super bad kid, you misbehave, you are lucky that they put up with you, trying to make you super small, bring down your self-esteem so that you are more easy to control, so that you won't leave. Also, it makes you so much easier to control, because now that your self-esteem is so low and now you have to earn their respect and love, they can tell you to do so many things around the house, whatever they need you to do to cater to their ego, and you're going to do it happily just to earn that love and affection back. As you get older, finally you start to see them for who they are. You also start to develop more confidence and more independence, and you become more and more of a trigger as you get older to all of their unhealed wounds, that they start to lash out at you much more than when you were a kid and you were more oblivious and a lot easier to control. And then lastly, how narcissism shows up in friendships. Sign 1, they're super clingy. They insert control into your friendship through imposing. So they'll turn up unannounced, they want to sleep over, they want to come to your house with loads of drama because they're crying, they need a shoulder to cry on almost every single day. They need to know every single detail about you and your life constantly. Why haven't you texted me yet? Who is that you're hanging out with? They need to see you every day, and most importantly, they need you to save them. They are also secretly competitive, and they copy a lot of what you do, whether it's what you wear, how you speak, where you go, how you do your makeup. They are the masters of telling you all of their life problems, crying to you, telling you about all of their drama, venting literally all the time. It's 90% of your friendship. But when it's your turn to vent and when it's your turn to talk about your life, they switch off. They don't give you the same level of attention that they expect you give them. You'll also know they're a narcissist if they don't have many other friends. Like, you are their only savior. They always rely on you. They've fallen out with a lot of people, and they have so much drama that you can barely keep up with it. On top of that, they are offended when you have other friends or when you spend more time with them, and they insert control by starting to say bad things about your friends, like, I don't know if I trust them, or like, I don't really like her. However, they love to overshare and be the center of attention. So even with these same friends that they judge, they will be super buddy-buddy with them. They'll overshare all the personal details of their life. They want to be super likable. They want to be super admired by everyone, just like a classic narcissist. On top of that, they complain a lot. Like, they have a lot of Karen energy about them, and this is because they have a superiority complex. So they will complain about anything and everything just to impose some power in any situation. And then lastly, they never take accountability, and they will always flip it on you by making you the bad guy for bringing something up in the first place and just simply communicating. But I'm going through a really rough time, and why would you say this to me? And I can't believe you would blame me for something, and I would never treat you like that. And you know what you said really, really hurt me. Constantly justifying their bad behavior through how much they're struggling, through their victim mentality. You know, I can't help it, I'm just in a bad place. This leads us on to chapter 2, how to avoid narcissists in the first place, and if you're with one, how to respond to them. So firstly, you need to understand what draws a narcissist in the first place. Narcissists are addicted to people pleasers and people with very little boundaries and lots of insecurities. Narcissists and people pleasers are drawn together like magnets, because people pleasers have very little boundaries. They have this need to save others, to be there for them. They cling on to people who show them a lot of affection because of their trauma and their own insecurities that they harbor, and narcissists love people like that because they're so easy to control, they're so easy to impress. Narcissists hate high value women, and if you don't know how to harbor high value women energy, then I have an entire guide on my channel. But basically, narcissists will talk a lot of about high value women, because they'll say, well, high value women are so egoistic, and these types of women have so many high standards, and they're so arrogant, and they're basically projecting on high value women for having confidence, because it basically brings out all of their insecurities and makes them feel like, well, you think you're better than us, when really they're just secure in themselves and have self-love. High value women are harder to control, and narcissists will class them as super high maintenance or too picky, and like, oh, high value women are going to end up alone forever, and you should lower your standards, and no man is going to do that for you. Because a high value woman's assurance in everything she does and who she is, and the fact that she doesn't crave male validation, destroys all of the narcissist manipulation tactics. It's never going to work on her, and also is a direct trigger to all of his insecurities, because he's never going to have that assurance in himself. And then lastly, another way to avoid narcissists is to start judging people by their self-esteem. Now listen, I made a TikTok and an Instagram reel about this, and it went viral, and so many people were hating on me. I don't really give an F, okay? I don't. Because I have dealt with this so many times, and as soon as I decided I'm only going to to surround myself with confident women, my life changed. And everyone's like, how dare you, how dare you? Listen, the more that you want to save people and bring all of these insecure people into your life, the more likely you are to attract narcissists, okay? It's not honorable to think you don't like yourself, it's fine, you can be my friend, because you are basically gathering all of their negative energy, all of their unhealed trauma. You're more likely to have a friendship with an energy vampire. Like, why don't you have the self-respect to be able to distance yourself from those people? I'm not saying they're bad people. I'm not saying you're supposed to be perfect. I'm saying you should have some high standards for your life. Please, please, okay? Narcissists are so insecure. It's so easy to spot that they're insecure because a lot of their confidence is fake confidence. It comes about through bragging. You're going to be able to spot it like that. On top of that, when you decide I'm only going to be friends with confident people take relationships slow. They are trying to suss you out and whether you align to their life path and their circle, just like you're trying to suss out if they're good for you. That is the ultimate green flag. Yes, you have enough self-love, self-respect, and high standards to not just jump on someone and think, oh my God, please love me, please save me, please be in my life. And that is exactly what a narcissist does. When you start judging people by, do you align with my mindset? Do you have enough self-respect? Are you confident in yourself and who you are? Your life gets so much easier. And then, how do you respond to a narcissist? Now, I am super against trying to build up a strategy on how to respond to a narcissist because my answer is always going to be go no contact and cut them out of your life straight away, even if you're not ready to. But I do understand sometimes they're in your own family and you're stuck in a house with them. And so the answer to that is very simple. You need to realize that the more response you give and the more time and attention you give to a narcissist, the more ammunition you give them to take you down. They have more power to ruin your life. They have more power to manipulate you and to tear you down. So the answer is you don't say anything or you say very little. The goal here isn't about you trying to be right and you trying to get your way and set your boundaries. It's never gonna work. If you are in front of a narcissist, they are always gonna crush your boundaries. They are never gonna listen to you. You are never going to win in this situation. So you are ruining your life by trying to. Your goal in this situation is to try and make your life as easy as possible and use the situation for what it is so that you can maintain your peace. That is all you can do. So if they're saying you are so selfish and you are so disorganized and you can never get anything right, you just sit there and you listen. And you can play a little song in your head and you should talk to yourself in your head and that's it. Not, oh my God, how dare you say that to me and don't cross this boundary. You are wasting your breath. You are reducing your energy, draining yourself, lowering your vibration because you are trying to communicate with someone who is incapable of listening and changing. What is the point? You are never going to be able to teach a narcissist to be somebody else, so don't try in the first place. When this was happening in my family environment and they were like, why aren't you responding? Why aren't you responding? Because they will say that if you're quiet for too long. I'd be like, yeah, you're right. I'm so selfish. I'm sorry. And I would just say that because the more that you fight back, the longer it's going to go on. Just allow them to be right. Yeah, I'm sorry. And in your head, you're going to laugh. You just laugh. Just be like, yeah, whatever. Like, I'm just saying this so that I can maintain my peace and exit the situation for my own safety and for my own peace of mind. Abusive people thrive on emotions and drama. So when you finally act indifferent and stop giving them all of these emotions and all of these reactions, they lose interest and they stop. And the argument is going to be a lot shorter than it would have otherwise. This also links into the grey rock method. This method is about acting unresponsive and unbothered when a narcissistic person is trying to affect you so that they lose interest in you and the conversation is done. So this links into mastering detachment, and when they are screaming at you right here, you need to have a whole separate conversation in your head because now you are so fully educated on every single sign in your head. Like, obviously don't smile at them because you don't want to elicit further response from them, but you're just going to think like you're just a narcissist. You literally can't help it. You're projecting. I actually feel sorry for you that this is the mindset and the personality and the disorder that you've given in this life. Ouch. Like, that's what you got to think. You got to stop taking everything so personally, and you got to be like this. You got to switch off your emotions and learn to just switch off when they are speaking to you. And that leads us onto the final chapter, healing from narcissistic abuse. So we already know that it's so hard to move on and heal from a narcissist because of something called trauma bonding, the way that they give you all these dopamine spikes, take it away from you, and basically make you rely on them for your happiness and for that love bombing. You are addicted to the highs and lows, and there are actually a lot of articles and studies that have been done that show that this pattern of narcissistic abuse of constant high and low days have actually been compared to drug addiction. Step number 1 is you need to create a list that is going to counteract all of the countless gaslighting they do that makes you stay in the first place. I did this for both of my narcissistic exes and my family member as well, because they are going to, one, bombard you with so many loving gestures that it's going to make you doubt whether what happened was even real and you're just overreacting, because they've already destroyed your self-esteem to the point where you don't trust yourself, you only trust them. And plus, they're going to make it out like you're crazy and they're going to blatantly lie to your face. So I started the pattern of writing down everything in lists that they had done, pair it with text screenshots whenever you guys argue, any evidence you have in images, and put it all in one document in your notes app. That's what I used to do, so that you always have it there. Anytime there is a new argument, anytime they say something, immediately right after, your priority is writing it down word for word. Even put the date and the time that it happened. If you decide to confront them and say, I am leaving you because you did X, Y, and Z, they are gonna lie to your face and gaslight you, and you are finally gonna have the reassurance and the confidence, because you're gonna be like, hold up, but I have this word for word with the date and time, and look at how they are lying to me. And it immediately invalidates every single thing they've ever tried to say to you. But most importantly, when you do try to go no contact, nostalgia is always gonna take over. The reason narcissists are so hard to leave is because they give you the memories of a lifetime. They give you so much happiness sometimes. And you have all these photos and all these roses and gifts, and when nostalgia is trying to lead you back down a path of destruction, you are gonna have the list that makes sure you don't reach out back again, because that shows you the truth that they have so desperately tried to hide from you. Along with my list, I also linked in articles that really resonated with me about narcissistic abuse and what the people that I dealt with did. So stuff about trauma bonding, stuff about covert narcissism, stuff that I knew I was gonna forget because of narcissism, and as time goes on, you kind of just forget these memories because they're so traumatic. The next step to healing is don't avoid the pain and don't shame yourself, okay? Please don't think, oh my God, I'm so dumb to have gotten in this situation. Why did I stay for so long? Why did I go back over and over again? How are you supposed to know any better, please? How are you supposed to know? This is your first time going through life. We're not taught about narcissism from literally anyone. It's such a rare situation to go through. It's not like all of your friends have had experiences with them. You were literally subject to emotional abuse and manipulation. You can't see through that. All of these tactics are in place so that you fall for it. There was never any other answer to it. The last thing you should be doing is beating yourself up about it. This is a time for compassion and self-love. This is your heart and your body signaling for your return after months and months or years and years of low self-esteem and being belittled and losing confidence and trust in yourself. This is your turn and your opportunity to be like, actually, I'm gonna come home to myself, I'm gonna listen to myself, I'm gonna give myself grace and reignite my confidence instead of tearing it down further. These are opportunities when you start to feel guilty to start building back up those foundations rather than keeping it where the narcissist wanted it to be. Let yourself feel your feelings, because those are the first initial steps to self-acceptance and then self-love. The next step on your healing journey is using research and educational videos to build your own support system. I saved a bunch of articles in my phone. I had a playlist full of YouTube videos that tell you about narcissism to go back to in my weak moments. And most importantly, I also had a folder saved in my favorites app on TikTok of loads of little videos that people have made on narcissism. I even have some on my page you can look at. Basically, this is information that you would have learned through this video anyway, but these are short reminders for your weak moments to look back on. These videos and these people that are educating you about it become your support system, because not everybody can relate to the experience of being abused by a narcissist. So you're much more susceptible to going back. Going no contact with a family member is so difficult. A lot of people will be like, why? Your other family members will be like, just forgive them. And a lot of people are going to try and invalidate you. And all of these articles and videos and books that you are going to keep by you are going to validate you and give you that confidence that the choice you made was correct. This links into the next step, which is read the book Surrounded by Narcissists. Search narcissism on podcasts, on social media platforms. There are social media accounts that are literally committed to survivors of narcissistic abuse. I consumed a lot of that content when I was in my healing journey, and it really helped to validate myself and move on, and also accept and see people for who they are. The more you learn about the traits of a narcissistic parent and the more knowledge that you have around it, the more you can finally see them for who they are, which allows you to detach from the idea of who you thought they might be. The next step is to start your healing journey through therapy. It's something I really recommend. Shadow work and confidence building. I have videos on a lot of this on my channel, but obviously read books, listen to relevant podcasts, things that will help you in your personal development journey to the point where you can recognize they were just projecting and they can't help the way they are. And the way that those people treated me is not definitive of who I am and what I am worthy of. They have a literal disorder. They couldn't help it. And anyone could be their victim, and they're going to treat any person they come into contact with in that exact same way. It is not unique to me, meaning I should not internalize any of that behavior. And lastly, to heal from narcissistic abuse, this is my favorite step, and this is really what made me make major moves on my growth journey, was to start yourself self-love and growth journey. They have manipulated and conditioned you to make them the center of your universe. So now you need to create a new universe. I am a big believer in this, and I always encourage my friends to do this after a breakup or anything that you're shedding and leaving. You need to create something new, because the more that you live the same old life that you're so used to, the more you're gonna feel their absence in it, because they are associated with the places you go to, the things you do, how you live. So if you start incorporating new habits and new routines, and you enter into a new version of yourself and a new phase of your life, they aren't associated with that. You're starting brand new, and you are then also more motivated to not allow them access into this new life because you've worked so hard to build it, and they are not associated with it, meaning you can't feel that absence as much in it. And this, I felt, was the most effective in undoing the trauma bond for good, because also when you focus on your self-improvement and when you create, you know, your dreams and you work hard, you build up so much positive self-esteem and a sense of self and independence where you will actually feel icked out by the narcissist altogether. And that brings us to the end of today's video. This was actually a really, really heavy video for me to make. I actually had to take several breaks during it because it was a heavy topic. If you're feeling heavy right now, please go get some fresh air, take a walk, listen to some happy music. But if you're still here watching, just know I'm so proud of you for watching. It's such a heavy thing to learn about and read through, but it's going to help you so much on your self-development journey. I can't even tell you. Learning about all of this over the last few years has been incredibly difficult, but it's been so useful for me in my self-development journey. Please comment down below, let me know what you learned from this video, because I need reassurance that this helped somebody. Check out the pre-order link for my book below. It's a radical guide on achieving self-love, and honestly, I've written everything I know about self-love and my entire journey in relationships, a little bit to do with narcissism as well in this book. Honestly, I truly can confidently say it will help in becoming the best version of yourself, in creating that new universe, and falling so in love with yourself that no one can ever come into your life and take advantage of you ever again. I appreciate you, and I will see you same time next week for a new video. Bye.